The South Korean government has announced plans to integrate the fast-approaching fourth industrial revolution into all parts of the economy, with the goal of staying ultra-competitive. Our Kim Hye-sung with the details.
Fourth Industrial Revolution 1.0. The Korean government on Thursday unveiled its 5-year plan to incorporate the fourth industrial revolution into its economy.
21 ministries and the Fourth Industrial Revolution Committee worked on this roadmap together. It is centered on the people and ties technology and infrastructure with social policies so that everyone can participate and benefit from Fourth Industrial Revolution technology in the future.
The government's plan has 4 main parts. First, it plans to support artificial intelligence-based medical services, smart factories and farms, and transport such as driverless cars to help lower costs and increase efficiency. These projects would require new technologies, so the government plans to invest a total of $2 billion by 2022 and work with the private sector in research and development. It also plans to expand elementary and middle school education in STEM subjects and nurture experts in AI, robotics, and big data in colleges. And one detailed plan with a tight deadline. Korea aims to adopt a 5G network by 2019, making it the first in the world to do so. There are also plans to expand the Internet of Things network. Both of these are critical as a surge in data and sensors will require a fast data processing network.
These are all good policies that will enable Korea, which has strong hardware technologies like semiconductors and cars, to find a new growth engine. The problem, however, is regulation. Compared to China, the US, and Europe, Korea has too many regulations across industries and financing for startups. Today, the time span for turning ideas into reality is short. To stay competitive in the fourth industrial revolution era, deregulation is a must.
The government says the plan is expected to add over $117 billion to the economy by 2022. But to deliver on the plan, a more detailed policy, market deregulation, and an evaluation system to meet targets on a step-by-step basis will be critical. Kim Hye-sung, Arirang News.